Welcome back. Above all else, Rudy Giuliani's moving goalpost style of legal defense for President Trump is a bit confusing. And according to a couple of our MSNBC legal analysts, that may be the point, as you heard us talk about previously. Former federal prosecutors Mimi Rocah and Joyce Vance write the following. None of what he does is meant to convince a judge or a jury. It is meant to confuse the issues, to inoculate people against shocking news before it arrives. And, of course, to retain the president's good standing with his base. Joining me now is another one of our MSNBC legal analysts, Ben Wittes. He's also editor-in-chief of Lawfare. Mr. Wittes.
Sir.
I want to go through the various ways that Giuliani has done a similar thing, where he seems to reveal something accidentally, and you think, oh, did he mean to do that? The most infamous first time being the Stormy Daniels payments, where even Sean Hannity goes, oh, I didn't know you were revealing that on this episode of the Hannity Show, right? But now there's a pattern. Right? This isn't collusion, and you go down the line. Is that how we should interpret this? Oh, yeah, there was a deal all the way through October and November. You know what? It was all a hypothetical.
So the short answer is I don't know. I mean, I think one possibility is that it is the strategic disclosure of disadvantageous information in advance of when it's likely to break anyway. And the Stormy Daniels payment is certainly an example, could be seen as an example of that. The problem is some of this material, we don't really know if it's true, right? So he says, so somebody may have colluded, but it's not the president. And then he walks it back and says, actually, I don't know of anybody who colluded, right? And so if you're strategically releasing false information that wouldn't be disclosed eventually anyway, it's hard to see that as strategic rather than just goofy. And so one of the problems with Giuliani is we actually, when he makes an admission against his client's interests, which normally when a lawyer does, you would say, wow, okay, that's a really significant statement. Because we still don't know if these statements are true, we don't know what to read into them, whether there's a strategy of obfuscation or difficult, or whether he's just making stuff up as he talks.
And this puts us in quite the quandary. He's the president's lawyer. So that's what he is. It is hard to fact check him on some of this stuff because we don't know until we have the Mueller report. We're going to find out, right, what this strategy is soon enough. But there definitely seems to be some sort of subterfuge here.
Well, so I think there's definitely, one possibility is, as the article that you open the segment with suggests, that it's a strategy of obfuscation and confusion, right? Another possibility is that it's actually a strategy of being combative and pleasing the president, who fundamentally doesn't want a legal defense. He wants a PR defense. And for him, a PR defense is going out there in a kind of pugilistic fashion and fighting.
Are these like asides in courtrooms when a lawyer will say something that he knows is going to get struck? It's an objection. Oh, jury, you weren't supposed to hear that. You have to pretend you didn't hear that, right? So, is it the same type? Is that the way we should view his asides, almost as a lawyer? He wants to get information to the jury that he isn't legally allowed to get to.
So maybe, but I want to raise a third possibility, which is that this is just Rudy Giuliani shooting from the hip and doing his own thing. And the president kind of likes it because it's combative, but it's actually not strategic at all. It's just a guy acting like a television pundit where we're attributing to him that he's acting like a lawyer. But I'll tell you this, Bill Clinton.
This is a former U.S. attorney. This is. It's not like he got his law degree at night school, and never practiced it. This is a U.S. attorney, so you would think he has an idea of what he's doing.
And that's why we all have this reflex of taking it seriously as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Some deference to it. And by the way, he's not just a lawyer. He's not just a U.S. attorney. He's representing the president of the United States, as you said. That said, in my adult lifetime, I've watched a lot of private attorneys for the presidents of the United States. I cannot imagine. Most people can't even tell you who George W. Bush's outside lawyer was, who represented George H.W. Bush in the Iran-Contra affair, right? Like, it is unimaginable to name one who was a little bit more high profile that David Kendall, the Williams and Connolly attorney who represented Bill Clinton, would have gone on a television show and made this kind of a spectacle.
All right.
It's not the way lawyers behave.
So you're Mueller, and you see, and you're sitting there, and it's look. You already have the answers,
right,
that they gave, and which is, I'll be honest, my assumption on Sunday. I'm not going to make this assumption now that he's retracted. My assumption on Sunday, when I was asking these questions, was that he was giving me the same answers they wrote down to Mueller. So you're like, oh, so that's clearly they've put that on the. It's possible they talked about Trump Tower Moscow until November. Obviously, now I don't know what to believe.
Right. So,
but what is Mueller thinking?
Right. Well, so Mueller has the advantage, as you started with, by saying he has the advantage of knowing the answer to a fundamental question here, which is Rudy Giuliani giving out bits and pieces of a reality in a strategic way, as Joyce and Mimi hypothesized, or is he is there no relationship between the underlying record and what he's saying? And I think how Mueller looks at it very much depends on that, right? Because if he's looking at this and scratching his head and saying, where's he getting that? That's a very different animal than if he thinks, okay, he's trying to obfuscate things. He's trying to confuse people by giving out little bits and pieces and preempting disclosures that are eventually going to come.
We haven't gone here in a while, but I can't help but go back. This feels like the entire Johnny Cochran defense for OJ, which is you just throw a bunch of, they were having a public relations defense while the LA prosecutors were trying to prosecute evidence, and they were talking past each other.
Okay, but they were doing it in front of a jury, right? And it was clear in that setting what the strategy was in relation to a impaneled jury that they had to get one person in, to vote to refuse to vote to convict. And so I kind of understood that strategy. I didn't like it, but I understood it. This one, I'm having trouble even understanding what he's trying to do.
I assume they're worried about somewhere between 13 and 15 Republican potential jurors that also are known as United States senators. Anyway.
Fair enough.
Ben Wittes, I'm going to leave it there as always, sir. Thank you very much. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.